Mr. Ellis, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Excellent. Thank you to the chair and to the committee and to Delegate Ruth for continuing to push forward this important issue for Maryland's democracy. I think this is part of an ongoing conversation about how Maryland's multi-party system can be as healthy as possible and work as well for voters. And I want to start with a quote from DeMarinis and the Baltimore Sun soon after he became the state administrator of elections. He said, "Online petition gathering has been brought up before our board by third-party officials, and it's one of those things we looked at. We allowed it for COVID, and it was successful. But over time, it's definitely a policy shift that is in the domain of policymakers, and that's why we're here today." I'm one of the third-party officials who DeMarinis is referring to. Non-principal parties like the Green Party are one of the groups of people who use the ballot petition process as part of our day-to-day, or our year-to-year operations. In 2020, Greens and Libertarians were in the middle of our ballot petition drive when the COVID state of emergency went into effect. This ground our petition process to a halt, and I worked with Mr. DeMarinis on what eventually became the emergency regulations that allowed electronic signatures on ballot petitions. I've submitted written testimony about validation rates and the other policy aspects of this that I think are useful and important, but today I'm here to say it worked. It worked, and both parties were able to continue their ballot access that they've had in Maryland since about 2000, but it also worked for election workers who were more able to quickly and effectively count the petitions without having to determine whether they were invalidating a legitimate voter's expression of their voting rights. But most importantly, it worked for voters. Voters had time to assess whether they wanted to sign. They could sign from anywhere, not just at a farmer's market. They could sign on their schedule. They didn't need to print out the petition and mail it to somebody. And most importantly, the expression of their voting rights were less likely to be invalidated in the review process. This is common sense legislation that modernizes an often overlooked process. I urge a favorable report on HB 499 because we know it works and we know it's good for voters.